Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anati Visayo Biojo. If you're new to me, hey y'all, what's up? If you're coming back, welcome back. I'm excited. As you can see, we're in a different space, a different element, and it's a different space in my house. I have like this little reading corner, reading nook, and I wanted to do like I was gonna say cozier, but I don't know how this video is gonna go. And you'll find out why in a little bit. Um, but I want to bring more of an element to lifestyle to YouTube, to the YouTube side. I feel like I do a little bit of lifestyle on the other platforms. Um, but here on this YouTube world, I wanted to bring a little bit more lifestyle and more a do life with me element. I've been wanting to do that for a while. Anyways, whatever. We're in a different corner. Um, and I want to talk obedience and I want to talk about obey anyway, the challenge, but what it was for me. I'm feeling, to be honest, I'm feeling a little melancholic today. I've actually had a really rough week, if I'm being honest. Um, and there's a combination of things that happen, right? When you're a leader, and people that are leaders will identify when you do like sort of these big things or like these big things happen, there's like this this like whoof afterwards, right? But there's also that there's an attack that comes when you're doing something big, but also even after, where the enemy tries to steal what was done in the process. So if you do a conference, if you do a challenge, if you do something big, the enemy will try to steal what was planted during that season, and so, or during that time. And so it's our responsibility to, rest, recover, and spend time with God, so that we ensure that our hearts are, that our soil is good, right? Because we're a lot of us are tending to other people's soil, their souls, right? And taking care of them and all of that. So it's important for us to do that for ourselves. And so I've been like in rest and recovery. I also got sick after the challenge. Um, but we also had Wife at the Well, which was absolutely amazing. And then my son got baptized, which was incredible. That's a testimony of its own. And man, my mama heart was weeping. I was so like just emotional. I can cry thinking about it now. I don't bring any tissues. But it's just so much, right? So much goodness and so much answered prayers and living in that. And then afterwards being like, man, what am I going to do? And it's just like, and it's like, center yourself, because God just did so much. God just did so much. And, we can't be ripping and running all the time. And that's something he taught us during the obedience challenge. We can't be ripping and running all the time. We are not machines. Um, and so the reason I'm feeling melancholic though is because as I was preparing for today's video, I was like, I really wanted to talk about the Obey Anyway challenge. And I wanted to be like, this is how, um, this is what God reminded me, this is what He taught me, and all these things. And it's not a level of regret, but it is deep conviction of the places where I haven't been obedient and the places where I wish I could have remained consistent. YouTube is one of those things. I don't even know if my thing is in the frame, but I have a bunch of my journals on the side. It's probably not. But off to this corner, I have like all my journals. And I've been writing and journaling for years. And journaling is amazing because you can look back and you see all the amazing things that God has done, the things that He has brought you through. But you also take inventory. And one of the things that I'm huge on is self awareness. And it's like, I'm really big on being self-compassionate, but I'm also big on no excuses. And so I was reflecting and kind of looking at the patterns of where I haven't been obedient and where I haven't been consistent and where I have to do better, because I am so adamant about, pouring out and giving everything I have in this life and being remembered for a woman who pursued God with everything, who loved people, who, was joyful and just quirky, brought light into a room and loved her children and loved her husband and, inspired others to live a life in full. And, I have a desire for how I want to leave a mark, right? And so I have to be intentional to be like, yes, you've done so much and to celebrate those wins, but I also have to be very honest with myself, right? And so I was like, this is not where I wanted to go. In this video, this is not what I wanted to do because I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to have like a more perfect video. I honestly don't know what I wanted, but I didn't want this video to be melancholic. But I'm just being honest and I'm being real. I'm gonna have videos coming up about continuing obedience, but also I guess sort of behind the scenes of how I'm living out my life and being obedient and how it's not always perfect. And today being an example of like, you haven't always been obedient. You haven't always been consistent. And I'm like, I look back and I'm like, can you imagine if I would have been consistent? I did my first video on YouTube. Was that 2014? I don't know, but it's 2026 and it's been years, you know? And that's not to say like I'm not living in that space of regret and condemnation and all of that, because I know that God can do the impossible when I set my mind to do what I have to do and to do my work, right? So I know that God is going to do the impossible in this season where I am going to be consistent. You know what I mean? And also, I'm like, let's be real. What happened? Let's take assessment. Let's take inventory. And the reason, again, because of the way I want to live my life, this is important for me, but also because there are people that are impacted when we're not obedient. I have seen the fruit of obedience. I have seen my life change drastically for being obedient and doing things that seemed absolutely crazy, how they have positively influenced people, right? And how disobedience impacts, right? It's like Jonah being disobedient and like running. And it's like there's an impact when you're disobedient. There are consequences that impact other people. It's not just about you. As believers, we know that. And I think that we try to live like the world where it's like, oh, you got to take care of you and protect you. And there's a level to that. But we can't be so selfish to think that we're on this earth for ourselves. We just can't. And so, I guess this was my way of processing out loud and just being honest that there are some spaces that I haven't been consistent in and that I haven't been obedient. But the Obey Anyway challenge did give me a refresher of um, the spaces that I have been obedient and I have been consistent, because I'm going to pull from that and draw from that so that the spaces I haven't been consistent in, I can be like, bet, let's get to work, as opposed to sitting in that guilt and sitting in that like coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So I was trying to think. There's something else. I don't know if there's anything else that I wanted to say, but I guess I just want to ask y'all, what do you want to be remembered for at the end of all of this? What do you want the world to say about you? What do you want to be remembered for? What is the mark that you want to leave? And so, before we talked about, what are the dreams that you have put on the shelf? What are the things that you think is too late for? Um, what are the things that you have been delaying being obedient in? Because we have to take inventory and assessment and be real about that. And just do what we have to do. Do do the work that is required of us in this season. And so it's a reminder to you, a reminder to me, that we're not in this alone, and there's still time for whatever it is that God is calling you to. And the time is now. If God has told you to start a podcast, a YouTube channel, stop overthinking whatever it is. It whatever. Stop overthinking. Just do. Just go. Pivot as He leads. And the most important part of that is as He leads and as He guides, because you don't want to be making up your own thing and you're like, well, how do I know? And I had this conversation with my son, with my oldest, and we were talking about just listening to God and obeying God. And that comes from having a relationship with Him. Like, you have to know His character, you have to know who He is, right? And so the same things that you do with someone that you're just getting to know, do with God. Ask Him questions and then listen for the signs. And then ask Him questions and then listen for the signs. And then, journal. read his word, read his word, study his voice. Um, and sometimes that requires you to shut down distractions, to shut down every other voice. Fasting is optimal, as my oldest says, optimal. It's optimal for that because it ensures that there are no other voices influencing but his. It ensures that his voice is magnified, you know? So that's it for today's video. Hopefully that wasn't too melancholic, but that is that's the other thing. That's a part of my personality. I'm very introspective and like I can be introverted, and there's another part of me that's like super like that, and so I have those sides of me that I'm like not many people see unless you're in relationship with me. And so yeah, that's what you get. All of Anna. All of Anna, all about me. Again, if you're new to me, welcome. We're going to be talking about all the things, talking about life, living life with God and for God, talking about marriage, motherhood, um, mental health, wellness, all the things. We're talking about it here. So make sure you subscribe, follow along in this journey. Let's see where God takes us. I love y'all. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.